I am joined today with Derek Pierce. Now, Derek is somebody I've met twice, I believe, at two different conferences that I've spoken at in the last year. The first one was the OMG one, and the other one was SEO at the beach. And I really liked his approach to particularly link building, but SEO in general. And a couple of the things he said really stuck with me. And I knew that was somebody that I wanted to bring to you and get to know and to share some value, as that cliche goes, with you. So welcome, Derek.
Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. I know we worked this out for a while. I've been looking forward to this for a while. So before we get into it, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your origin story, and what you're doing now?
Yeah. So basically what happened was I was a real estate investor, quit my job in 2001. And all of a sudden economy went to the tank locally and I was stuck with all these houses. So I think I had like 12 out of 14 houses were vacant. I tried everything, tried giving them away, tried giving away TVs, giving away cars, doing the creative financing type stuff. Nothing was moving them, right? Couldn't get rid of them at all. There was a lady that just by chance says, she come from a seminar and she's like, hey, why don't you put them up on eBay? Now this is 2005, 2004 timeframe. I thought, man, this is the craziest idea, right? eBay of all the, like, how am I going to sell a house on eBay? Because everything I'd ever bought on eBay was like, I don't know,
baseball card or some shit,
books or it's crazy stuff or whatever. Nothing over the top. So I thought she was the craziest idea I'd ever heard. But I was struggling. Like I was losing money. I was like down to my last dollars in my savings account. And I remember putting it up and putting it on a credit card. It was like $150 for the big listing or whatever. And in the span of like a week, I think I got like 8,000 views on that listing. And I was like, I'm not even getting 8 phone calls locally or whatever. Sold the house, got money in like 10 days. I thought, man, this is the craziest thing ever, but it's a fluke. No way this will work again. Put up house number 2. That one did even better than the first one. House number 3, and just slowly just started getting out of these deals. I was like, you know what? Something here. I need to be doing this online gig versus buying and selling houses. I just wanted to make the navigation at that point. Lending was getting tighter, and there was all these like stipulations that were happening because the other, like the overall economy outside of our area was starting to tank as well. Anyway, started building a blog, started building a site, didn't know what I was doing. And this guy, Mitch, he says, hey, you need to get up with, you need to get in this JV group for real estate guys. They're really crushing it. I was like, all right, cool. Now, immediately I thought all these guys were assholes, right? Because you're looking at them and they're like, oh, they're doing all these numbers and doing all this craziness. And they're selling like these expensive coaching programs or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I ended up doing it. And I started making blog posts about every product and about every money magnet that they were putting out. And all of a sudden I was like 12 or 14 on the leaderboard. Like, I had never done affiliate marketing at that point ever. And I was like, wait a minute, my name's right above Ron LeGrand, which was at the time was like the top dog in real estate investing. Like, he was the top guy. So like my name was above him on the leaderboard. I was like, give me some confidence, just kind of give me a little bit of a boost or whatever. Well, I thought it was the list. I'd built a small list through the blogging process and all that. And then, so the next couple of launches, I just got lazy and just email my list. I didn't make anything. So then I got to going back and reverse engineering what I did different on the first one versus the second and third one. So wait a minute, I was ranking for all this stuff. Now this is like 2005, 6 time frame, this was long time ago, 2007. So I started going back, looking at where I was making the sales, and lo and behold, I was taking up several spots on the first page. And so didn't even know it. So then we just kind of kicked it into overdrive, started buying EMDs, started buying more domains, and then just started pushing it with intent at that point and taking up multiple spots on the first page. That's how I built the first PBN I ever built, was that way.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Last thing I heard was that's how I built the first PBN. Was that?
Yeah, that's how I built the first PBN, was building all those, taking all those sites. We'd end up buying 3 to 5 domains. And then about a year later, I was sitting here and I had probably, 100 domains that I was doing nothing with. And I was like, wait a minute, what if we just started tweaking these that we've already bought? And then I started learning about real SEO as far as what PBNs would do and how powerful they were. And that was literally the first PBN I built, was off of the launch jacking sites.
Interesting. I didn't know the whole launch jacking thing. Like that was in real estate.
Yeah, it was like a real estate JV group. And so there was a few products that was out there that was that they would do like these internal launches, and then they would have, like I say, internal launches. It was like a group of probably about 50 guys. They would all push it. This was like back when the syndicate was real popular and people were building these syndicates in these different markets. And I'd take up 5 to 8 spots on the first page. So
crazy. And then, so after you got the DMDs and the PBNs and stuff, like what direction did your SEO career take? Is affiliate? Was it?
Yeah, mostly affiliate at that point. At that point, I started doing just more evergreen type stuff, but also then people started saying, "Hey, I want you to teach me how to do it." Because then at that point, my name was showing up on leaderboards, and I'd been on a crap load of leaderboards, and my list was a fraction of theirs. Right? Like I was because I was doing the SEO, the traffic was such high intent that I was making way more than what some people were that had a list that was 10 times my size. So it was like, how's he doing this kind of thing? So then the people started realizing what I was doing. And then that's when I started entering the kind of the training, teaching, and software space from there. So, and I think I launched my first product on the Warrior Forum, I think in 2012, maybe. Something like that. 2011, 2000. Yeah, it's 2011 is what it was.
Okay. Yeah. Warrior Forum, for those of you that are, under 30, is a forum where a lot of people used to go and learn SEO and marketing and stuff. And plus they had like these big contests where you could do launches and stuff through there. And it's become, I don't know if it still exists. I know they have Warrior Plus now, but.
Well, you had to go through Warrior Plus still.
Okay.
And what they would do, like all the sales pages would be on the Warrior Forum itself. Okay. And so you were actually going into thread. It was pretty cool, actually, because what would happen is you would have people getting called out on their bullshit at the time. Like now you see a launch and it's just a sales page, right? Well, there you were actually launching it on a forum thread. And people would come in and, man, they would just hammer the hell out of people if they thought there was even the remote.
Yeah, I remember some of that.
And so it's like you just had the most brutal questions. And so then you would answer it and it would become this viral kind of thing. And the threads would blow up several pages deep. And all of a sudden that provided more social proof as well. But also it would give you a chance to, answer objections that people were having too. So it was really cool, but it all was from Warrior Plus integrated with the Warrior Forum.
The first domino in my SEO career came from Warrior Forum too, because I bought, I think, Kelly Felix, his course, Bring the Fresh. Well, that was how I got started. It was
cool.
Yeah. Which was like a big selling course back then too. That was a huge investment for me at $47 at the time too.
So I remember them promoting that pretty heavy back then. I don't think I promoted that one. I did promote the very first rollout of OMG. So okay. I've been around for quite a while. So
back when OMG was just a PDF.
Yeah, it was like $100 ebook or something like that. So yeah.
Awesome. And then, so what are you doing now?
What am I doing now? I am doing, I've got the AI SEO system, which that's the main thing that I'm pushing right now, which builds long form SEO articles in a sheet. I gotta send you access to that, by the way. I think you'll dig it, but it's an easy way to just build these AI articles out in bulk. You just paste in the keywords. So I'm doing that. Also, I'm still in the affiliate marketing arena, doing some supplement stuff as well as some digital marketing stuff as well. So, and then the last 6 months, I've been testing, putting out a lot of local sites because it's just so inexpensive now and so quick that you can just launch something just to test and see what works. So I think we talked a little bit about that from SEO at the beach.
Yeah. So, and your philosophy on SEO is that it's just keep adding great content and eventually you'll get links and people will come buy stuff from you. Right? I couldn't even get through that.
You can't even keep a straight face with that.
Yeah. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to have Derek on today was one of the first things he said in his presentation at SEO at the beach was, and I hope I'm not giving away something I'm not supposed to, but
No.
Okay, it was to do right for the bot and not right for the user, which goes against what most of us have been taught. Not me, but what a lot of people have been taught. So can you talk about that and why you think it's stupid to just add content and add content and add content?
Well, I think that's okay. So like I'm old school. So like back in 2005 and 6 and that time frame when I was first getting started, that was the same type of topics. It was the same thing being said. I even got questioned if I was going to go to jail over the backlinks that I was building, that kind of thing. It was like, oh, links are going to get you in trouble. Oh, links are going to be bad. At some point, Google's going to come crack down on what you're doing. And we were building out a lot of stuff. We had all the software like XRumber and SE Nuke and all that stuff back in the day. But what ended up happening was you would have the same people saying the same exact thing. But whenever you would go and look at their domain, you would see just a shitload. I'm sorry is it okay to swear on here? Okay. So you'd see a shitload of links, right? Neil Patel was prime example. And I'm sure he's a good dude. I met him once back at Underground a long time ago. Seemed like a nice guy. But you look at his site and you see just a ton of links that's built to it. So like there's a framework there. Yeah, he could put up whatever piece of content and it'll rank just off of his domain authority. So for me, I started like putting these pieces of the puzzle together. And it's like, to start with, I was writing just for what I thought people would want to hear. Like, hey, here's how I did X, Y, and Z or whatever, with no real intent. And it's just like I was just going against the grain, like I wasn't getting any traction. But then in that first launch, when I started going back and looking, and I started seeing where all my traffic was coming from, people doing a search like, I'm trying to think of one of the product names from back in the day, but it was like product name plus review. Mm-hmm. And you see me taking up 3 to 5 spots. And it's like that term has intent. And so I want to target that particular term. I don't want to just like blog about, or create content about whatever. It's just, I've never understood that. Never understood that. And I know there's a lot of popular YouTubers that have gotten pretty big over that whole philosophy, but
income school.
It's just not a long-term strategy. I don't think, at least it's not ever, I've never seen it work for me. So,
yeah, I think we've been somewhat proven right. I say we, because I agree. I've been proven right in the last 6 months or so, because quote unquote niche sites have gotten just decimated in the last few updates, particularly the September one. And then again in March, to where they've lost 97% of their traffic in a lot of cases. And they're like, but I did everything Google told me. I was like, that's because you should be doing what they do and not what they say.
Right. That's the other thing is like all these updates, if you go back and look at them, they all sound eerily similar. Like it's the same lingo, same language, same, just about every update that's we're trying to reduce spam. It's like, well, have you not got a hold of that yet? Like you've been talking about this for 10 years now, when you've released these updates. So, and it's not that I've never been hit by an update, because I'll be straight. I have. Like anybody that says they've never been hit by an update, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I just feel like you're not do what?
They're not trying hard enough.
They're not pushing it. Yeah, they're not doing anything. I've been hit by, Panda and Penguin, and I've been hit by some others, but at that point, like there was people that weren't doing anything wrong that still got hit, like what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So it's all algorithmic. And in order for people to be able to see it, you've got to write for the bots and prep for the bots first. Another thing, like I looked at, like, I'm a fan of Surfer, by the way. I like it. And I like all those tools that are out there now that you can analyze your content. Like I know there's several of them out there. I see somebody's comments, OMG cursing. That's it. I'm leaving. So just caught my eye. But if you look at those and you just get your headings right, you're going to see your scores automatic without putting any content in at all. You're going to see the scores go through the roof on what their formulated calculation is.
Yeah. I actually have one that's similar in the sense that it looks at SERP data, but it makes people uncomfortable sometimes because it literally just gives you the data. Like they will put in like what they think are best practices based on whatever, how that they decided that was. I just pull the information from the SERP. And to me, that's the right way to make decisions. So I don't know.
100%. I agree 100%. Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, so when you say write for the bot, I know what you mean, but can you explain that? Because some of the people may not know exactly what you mean by that.
Well, it just means that you've got to write for the search bots. The search bot's going to come crawl the site. And so you've got to prep it for the keywords that you want to show up for. So you got to write it in it with a framework. So a long time ago, I don't know who come up with this, but this is a good kind of a good framework, a good template is to go who, what, when, where, how, why, and what to do next. And I think I added the what to do next, but it's like the who, what, when, where, how, why is sort of a framework on how to frame your subtopics and your headings and integrating your keyword in with that to answer all of the questions that you possibly can. Now, when you're writing, obviously you want it to be good, but I feel like a lot of people are stressing about that before they ever hit the publish button. It's like, oh, well, is this going to hurt me, or is this going to hurt my site, or is this going to rank? Am I putting everything that I can into this for the end user? And that's where I say, like, no, you just write for the bots, write what the bot is looking for, and then publish it. You can always improve it later on if you need to. So what we do, we will go in and we'll publish stuff. We start seeing it rank on page 2, page 3. Then we start making some tweaks from there. So that way that we can have a higher conversion rate as opposed to, perfecting it right out of the gate and then just hoping that it ranks. We're instead, pushing stuff out, seeing where we get any traction, and then we go from there and modify it for people.
That makes a lot of sense because first of all, you'll just get stuck. Like it'll never be perfect. So if you don't just publish, you're never going to know what to fix anyway. But I don't know. I find people like that never get anywhere because they're just going to overthink and overthink and overthink. So,
well, I think we all have some level of insecurity.
Sure.
And so that plays into it is like, is it good enough? Am I good enough? Do I have the credentials? And that was the whole EAT thing too. Is like, that was another wrench that they threw in it. And you're thinking, a lot of people are thinking like, well, am I qualified to even talk on this topic? Mm-hmm. Yes, you're qualified. You can talk.
Yeah. Even if you're not, they don't know how to determine who's with an authority.
Exactly. And
that goes saying you should talk about things you're not experienced on, but you can.
Right. And that goes back to like what we were talking about as well. Like factual data is not a ranking factor.
Yep.
Like that's one of the arguments that I see a lot of people against AI is like, well, the data is wrong.
Everybody else too about everything is wrong.
Yeah. Does it rank though? Like, will it rank? Yeah, it will rank. You can go back and fix it later on if you need to.
Yeah, I think that should be the response to almost any SEO question. Will it rank? Because that's all that really matters.
Exactly.
If you have a technique, if you have a client and you have a technique will work, but it's not the particular hat that you've associated with yourself with, and you choose not to do it, I think that you're being unethical by not using everything at your disposal to get them results. I could, other people could argue with that, but I'm right and they're wrong if they do. So.
No, I agree 100%. Like the thing is like you've got to, you're not creating this game. Like you're just, as they say, don't hate the player, hate the game or whatever, I fall into that line of thinking with this just because like you're not making the rules. We're just abiding by what rules we're given, and you got to push it the best you possibly can. And for me, like anytime I become passive in something, it never works out.
Yep.
Ever. It's that way in life. It's that way in SEO. It's that way with everything. If I just like go passive on something and just kind of waiting around and hope, it never ends well.
No, I mean, it shouldn't. I think the people that put in effort should be the ones that get results. But for SEO, for some reason, there's this tribalism and this they want to pick the certain way that works, and as opposed to just looking at what works and doing that. So like, instead of saying that, I don't know what's a good way to put this. So instead of just looking at the results and saying this is what's working, they find a way to justify what they want to what they wish worked and do that.
And even though I'm a firm believer in links, like if you don't like, you've got to have that foundation of where you're writing for the bots to begin with in order for it to really take off to what you want it to do anyway. Like, so it's not saying that there's no merit in like the creating the content itself. You know, you can't just put up a page and with nothing on it and just blast it with links and expect it to just climb and stay there forever. You got to have a good framework with that. But that's where it comes back to you're writing for the bots to begin with. You got the framework, and that goes with parasite SEO. That goes with, you know, using age domains and that sort of thing. Or if you're doing local sites, it's all the same.
Yeah. So you mentioned links a few times. You mentioned PBNs earlier. I know that you you do some stuff with GSA. Do you have like a particular type of link strategy that you stick to? Do you do tiers? Like what's your philosophy on link building?
Yeah, tiers are where it's at, in my opinion. I don't do a whole lot of I don't do outreach. I think outreach is kind of a glorified method of spam. It's just my opinion on it. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with it, but I don't do outreach. I do PBNs. I do also I do GSA blast. I'm a big fan of GSA, but mainly what I'm doing is I'm doing this in tiers. So what I do with GSA is the tier 1 will be like really strict about what we're hitting with. Like we don't just open it up to the floodgates on that. We're limiting it to based on either .com, .net, .org, .biz, .us. Also, we're limiting it based on the languages and whatnot and the countries. We want to limit it with that. So there's several filters that we're building into it. And the further down we go, we'll just throw everything under the sun at it, you know, but it has to be like way down. Like I put up a video of a screenshot where we were dropped, I think like 300,000 links on one campaign in the span of 10 days. But that was 300,000 links for the whole campaign. It wasn't just going to a single URL. That was the full tiers that we had on that. But I like to hit those to parasite pages, and I like to hit those to PBNs and secondary sites. That's it in a nutshell.
Okay. And for those that don't know, GSA is a software that builds links in mass. So that's only if you don't know what it is, that's enough explanation for you for the moment. But it's not beginner friendly at all. So you mentioned the different like the .com, .net, .biz, whatever it was you said. You do those because if you do GSA wrong, you can really fuck things up, right?
Right. Yeah. If you that's the thing is if you just go at it and you just hit start, like you said, it's not user friendly. It's taken me a lot to get to where we're running it, where we're at, but it's not user friendly. So if you just hit start, you can do more damage than good, because what you're going to do is you're going to have a bunch of just links that don't really move the needle or could obviously hurt you from there. But yeah, that's why we filter out at the very beginning, is we try to filter as much as we can. And we're kicking out a lot of sites, you know, that we could obviously post to, but it just doesn't fit the criteria for what we're trying to do. We'd rather get, you know, a few hundred links here and there and focus on the quality, and then deeper on the tiers, we'd rather, you know, just really blast them from there. And the main point of blasting them on the lower tiers is you're wanting to build up authority to those to the uppers, and also to get those indexed as fast as you possibly can. So as you know, indexing has become a bigger challenge since AI has come into the fold. That's become a bigger and bigger challenge from there.
GSA links were always hard to index anyway.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So you mentioned AI. That's a great segue. So I don't know if you set that up on purpose, but that was going to be my next question. That's what you said you were doing a lot with now, and that's what your training is about. So let's start with this. Do you think that Google can detect AI content? I ask everyone that comes on this on the stream that.
I honestly don't think they care. I just don't think that they care. I mean, I think that the ones that have gotten hit that were all over YouTube talking about it, I think there was a few things that went on with that. Number one, if you poke the bear in public, you're going to get slapped because they don't want to be made, a mockery of. Number one. Two, you've got to have proper fundamentals, just like what we were talking about before. I have found other sites that some of the people that had supposedly been hit with AI, and it's got their names all over it or whatever. And it's like, I've looked and I monitored. Do I?
Julian Goldie is the best example of that.
Yeah. So I think it was actually one of his sites, but it was just like the fundamentals of the site weren't there. Had like 5 posts, and nothing against him at all. I don't know him.
I do. And he's a great guy. Yeah.
He knows his stuff, obviously, because when he talks on YouTube, he knows, like, he's got some good info, and some of the stuff he's talking about with AI is 100%. But in this scenario, one of the sites that I found, which was in a niche that I was in, is the only reason I saw it, but you've got 5 to 10 posts about the same identical topic. Now, I don't know if that happened intentionally, or if it was like the AI kind of got, if he was using a software or something like that, if the AI got hung up and it duplicated the post. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen where in some instances where the API gets kind of bogged down a little bit, and so it will start over. And so it'll make 2, 3, 4, 5 posts about the same identical keyword. And so in WordPress, you will notice you'll have like keyword, and then the second post, if it's about the same identical one, it'll be keyword -2, keyword -3. So you start seeing 5 or 10 of these, then that's not AI's fault.
Right.
That's just, you're just spamming. You're spamming. And it's just a matter of time, whether you're writing that by hand or if you're using AI content, it's going to get probably flagged.
Yeah. You said the poke the bear in public thing. The analogy I've been using is that if you speed consistently 5 miles, 10 miles over the speed limit, police usually aren't going to stop you, but it doesn't mean that they don't know that how to detect that you're speeding. But if you go 100 miles an hour in front of them, over the speed limit in front of them, then they're probably going to pull you over because you're rubbing it in their face. So that's the analogy I've been using.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing too is like, how many people trust Google nowadays is so bizarre. And I don't know if it's because there hasn't been like a major update. Like, if you look at the updates around Panda and Penguin, like, those were like big, massive updates that just kind of just wrecked all kinds of havoc. To me, this last update wasn't that big of a deal. I just didn't see a whole lot from it. Yeah. But Panda and Penguin, I did. Like, Panda and Penguin were awful, kind of thing. And so anytime they would do a refresher on those, it was like, oh my God, you just kind of holding your breath a little bit. But so it was kind of surprising that people were just so vocal and willing to share all the intel with Google. Back a long time ago, this is probably 2008 to 2010. There's a black hat friend of mine that I met, and I met him through doing some of the launches, and somehow I reverse engineered and connected with him, and we started talking back and forth and talking shop. He's not a guy that sells any info or anything like that. Never has. He's never been in the limelight or public or anything like that. He's like a genuine SEO guy that doesn't want any of this. He doesn't want to teach. He just
wants to rank sites,
do his thing and be done with it, And so one day I emailed him and said, hey man, I found out, I said, I heard about these SAPE links. This is like 2008, 2010 timeframe. And I never heard of SAPE. Hey man, I heard about these SAPE links. What do you think about this? And I sent him a link. His response was, don't talk about that shit in here. And it was a Gmail account. That's what it was. So wow. he was paranoid because Gmail was listening and watching our communications, is what his thought was.
That's a bit extreme.
But it wasn't, at the time, it wasn't so far fetched. There were a lot of people that were swearing that they were indexing sites just by sharing them in Gmail.
Interesting.
This is like I said, this is way back in the day, 2008 to 2010 timeframe. So with that being said, I always, after he told me that, I was like, you got to be a little more careful with like analytics and what you're sharing and being so public and out in the open and so brash about it. So that's kind of where I just kind of was like, when all this stuff started coming out, I was like, this is a little, they're being a little too open in my opinion, but that's just me.
Well, also just the other downside to being open is our industry kind of sucks. Like a lot of the people in it do. Every single site I've ever shown in public has either gotten hacked or gotten spammed or gotten some malicious things. I've had death threats before, you know. So that's another
Wow.
reason not to overshare in public is people suck. So negative SEO, I've had that, although nobody really knows how to do that right, so it's not that big a deal. But I've had that happen before too.
So when you say negative SEO and people don't know how to do that right, are you referencing like most people just go out and build links that are spammy links?
Yes.
Then that's
Yeah.
yeah, and that doesn't work.
No, I don't know if it was GSA, but they fired like GSA or some other X-Rumor or something at a site, and it was, you know, porn, sex, dicks, whatever, like times 10,000. I was like, and it did absolutely nothing. So.
Yeah, I've seen that too, and it usually what I've noticed is like a lot of times that can backfire on you. So that's always been, I've been real skeptical about doing anything like that, you know?
Yeah. I would be more afraid of like one penalized PBN link than I would of a million GSA links that were all porn and spam and that kind of crap.
Yeah, because they know how to filter that. If you've got a pretty decent link profile, and then all of a sudden you start seeing this, the algorithm's going to know.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Well, if that worked, the Google search wouldn't work because people would just do that to everybody all the time.
And I think they cut back a lot of that in, was it 2016 or 2017? They got some flack for, because people were doing that. And then like, I want to say it was like, maybe it was earlier than that, but that was becoming a known thing that people were trying to do. And at that point you started seeing where link penalties were not as big of a thing as what they had been in the past. And it's like, okay, well, maybe the links don't tank it, but they don't really help it either. And it's like they put something in the algorithm to kind of figure that out. So at least that's, if my memory is right, I think it was like 2016 or 2017. I may be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think what people were trying to do when they would do that was to try to trigger like a penguin penalty on the site that they were targeting. I say that because the only penalty I've ever gotten was a penguin penalty in 2014, which when I didn't really know what I was doing was even called SEO. I was using a tool called Magic Submitter and just building as many links as I could. And
dude, I love that tool.
Yeah, I think it still exists, but it doesn't work anymore. So
I ranked for that term as well, and I put a bunch of people into that program. I remember that. So it would work really well.
Yeah.
I loved SE Nuke. And so then that was like the next better version of Nuke, in my opinion. It actually worked.
Yeah. Yeah. I was using it. I ranked for number one. I had my first site was for like streaming services and devices. And I ranked for like WWE Network review and like Netflix review and Roku review and stuff like that. And I had no idea why it was working. It was in Kelly Felix's course. Actually, he said to do this. So I did that and it worked. So.
There was a software that Keith Baxter recommended a long time ago, and I don't remember what it was, but this sucker, it was hard to work with, but it would go out and it would find all the WordPress multi-sites. This has been back 2010, probably 2012, but it would find all the multi-sites and it would go out and create all WordPress multi-sites, and you just run this thing just over and over and over again. And man, it would just pop every time. And so like, I've loved these tools over the years, just being able to utilize them a little bit. And
it was more fun when stuff like that stuff worked as well as it did too.
Do what now?
It was a lot more fun when stuff worked that way too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was the day right there. You didn't have to be near as careful as what you do now. It wasn't Money Robot. It was something else. I don't remember the name of it, but it was pretty effective then.
Yeah, there were quite a few back then. There was X-Rumor and FC Nuke and the one that I think that you're thinking of that I can't think of the name of either. But,
the X-Rumor was my favorite purchase of all time, though. All time, that's my favorite purchase online I've ever made. Because did you ever buy it?
I did, but I didn't know what I was doing. So
I didn't know what I was doing either. I never did anything really. But never did anything with it really. I hired people to try to train me on it, but I could never get over the language barrier and all the configuration. but it was my favorite purchase because you had to go to this guy, and I think it was Botmaster or something like that, and you had to request a link. Now this was back pre 2012, I think. Like, so you had to request a link, and the link would be available, and you had to be online to get the link at like 1 o'clock on Skype or something like that. He'd give you the link, and you only had like 24 hours to buy it or something like that. And it was like limited as to how you could pay. And it's like, you felt like you were getting this real underground kind of thing. And it's like, oh man, I'm going to be like legit now. Like I bought this program or whatever. And I don't know. It was just, it was a good experience.
Yeah. So you said that nowadays you're doing more of the, like, you're doing like the teaching and courses and stuff. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, like, basically what I'm doing is I'm testing different stuff, and then I'll apply it to what we're doing through my trainings and through my programs. That's basically in a nutshell. Like what we were talking about before, launching a bunch of local sites, launched a bunch of local sites in probably the last 6 months. Launched one right the week of SEO at the beach. And we had one pop number 6, strictly GSA links. So anybody that's saying, oh, GSA doesn't work, you just got to know how to work it. Right. Strictly GSA links, not super aggressive, but just fine tuning it a little bit. So then we launched another one in a completely different home service industry. Number 2, in like 30 to 45 day period. And this gets 100, 200 searches a month. Both scenarios, all EMDs. I'm seeing the EMDs work really, really well with the local stuff. So it's just like that. I'm just putting that together, and then I teach what I'm doing and teach what's worked for me. A lot of it has been age domains, and a lot of it's been using parasites, and
a lot of course creators get shit for just teaching and not doing. But I think that's one of the things that makes yours different, right? Is you're actually like just documenting what you're doing and showing other people it.
Right. Yeah, and that's the only reason I'm doing this is because somebody's like, hey, you can make money teaching. And I genuinely like what I'm doing, and I like figuring things out. So it just kind of plays into like my strong suit. Yeah. It's like, so I'll teach a class. Like I did a AI class probably a couple of months ago, and it was like, well, I'm going to be doing this anyway. So why would I not just open up my camera and just walk people along with the process? So that's kind of the stuff that I do. So.
And you mentioned AI class. You have a program now called AI SEO system, right?
Yes.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So it's what it is. It's a Google sheet, and you simply just go in and paste your keywords, and it will build out all these long form articles. So you literally can build out a 3,000 word article in the span of like 3 minutes by just pasting in a keyword. So our goal with this was to give some foundation as to how AI works, but also was to give people a builder that was relatively inexpensive, that they could just tap into OpenAI's API and just with no monthly fees or anything like that, and just crank out as much as they possibly can. And then they get paid, they pay whatever their usage is. So, and with OpenAI, it's relatively inexpensive to generate an article. Yeah. So, and you put these in and you run them, they rank. We've proved that they've ranked, and it's the easy, like for an old school guy like me that got started on like an illegal download of Dreamweaver, trying to figure out HTML. It's one of those things like now, like I can't believe where we're at with all this. So it's like I'm a kid in a candy store.
For those of you that don't know, Dreamweaver was a software, a WYSIWYG software back in the day for building web pages, back when that was like a hard thing to do. So,
I didn't even think about people not knowing what Dreamweaver was. Like the way that it worked was you would have to, and people probably don't even know what FTP is now.
No.
So I don't even know what FTP stood for, but basically what you would have to do is you'd go through and you'd stumble through Dreamweaver, because I didn't know HTML. You'd stumble through Dreamweaver, you'd save it, and then you'd have to upload it through the FTP process. And then you go to your page and you refresh it over and over again. If it didn't look like the way, you had to start all over. So WordPress and all this other stuff comes along, and then now AI, this is the easiest thing that I've ever seen in my life. So This would be what you would dream about back in the day, kind of thing.
Yeah, you would the hoops you had to jump through to get stuff like this, like spinning content never worked right. So it's
I think for me, like, you know, when I hear people complain and bitch about like, well, the AI is not perfect or it's not accurate, I'm like, dude, do you know what we used to do to get this kind of stuff? Or like, my writer can write better than this. Like, so anytime I hear that, I think like back in the day of what we kind of was dealing with.
yeah. I mean, well, and to be fair, I think to some extent humans still can write like more, like better if you're looking for really expensive like sales copy and stuff. But
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
but for blog articles and stuff, I mean, I have a different number than you do. I can see how much our content sales have went to shit since AI content came out. So it definitely works, and it's so easy. So I don't get why people are afraid to embrace new stuff. Yeah,
I just think it's I think it's afraid of what it means to their bottom line at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Like they haven't adopted it as being like a legit thing, and it's kind of like they're ducking their head in the sand because it's like they're kind of worried about it, kind of an avoidance kind of thing of like, oh, I don't want this, so I don't want to even acknowledge it. It exists. So I think that's where some of that comes in.
Yeah, we have pivoted into it because like AI was our second biggest category after SEO for a long time, or not AI. Content was our biggest category after SEO for a long time, and it's not anymore. So we've like come up with, I can't give away everything because some little fucker from Europe will come and copy me, but there's some stuff that we're building into the platform that will make it easier for people to make content through it. And we're embracing using AI as opposed to like sticking our head in the sand, like you say, or pouting that it doesn't work the way it used to. You know, I feel like they're like VCR repairmen, the people that are afraid of it.
No, 100%. I didn't think of that, but you're 100% right. That's a good analogy.
Yeah. If you have any questions for Derek or for me, I guess go ahead and drop those in the chat. This is his page. You can find it at superstarseo.com/Derek. So there's another ego boost for you. And let me see if I missed any questions while we're getting those lined up.
I like these ego boosts, man. I need to, I could deal with this all day, man.
Let's see. Anyone get hit by the Cinco de Mayo Greek? I guess he means the May update. It seems to not. I haven't heard that much about it, to be honest. Like I heard it was coming, and then not that much seemed to happen.
Yeah, that's the same with me. Like I heard something about it, but I didn't see a whole lot from the March update either. Like
if you were on Twitter, you would.
Well, no. When I see it, I mean like experience is probably a better word. Like I saw some stuff on Twitter where people were talking about it, but I personally didn't see a whole lot. I think one of the things that I do that's probably a little different, and I know you've got some people that provide this service on there, is doing what I call brand stack links, which are just all about building brands and connecting it with IFTTT or something like Make. I do that on about every money site that we build. And I've seen multiple people talking about how they feel like that was kind of one of the things that helped them with some of these updates that have come down. But it's just something that we've been doing for years.
Yeah, me too. I did that before I even like knew that it was a good thing to do for SEO, because it just seemed like common sense to me. Like, why wouldn't you want to be everywhere?
Right.
So let's see. bestseoonline.com. There's your free plug. It says, yes, it is content with context. Does your site answer real questions people are searching for with long tail keywords? If so, it will rank when you send the correct signals. I agree with most of that. I don't think it's quite that simple. But they only care if content is poor quality. Same with Amazon books. I've never done an Amazon book, but that doesn't surprise me.
What's weird though is there's still instances that I could show you. I'm not going to, because I don't want to give away what I'm doing, and I don't want it to tank, because if I reveal it, then it's going to tank tomorrow. Somebody's going to be like, make sure of it. But I've still got spun stuff that's ranking on the first page of Google.
Awesome.
Like it's just you would say there's no way. It's just complete trash.
I've seen 301 redirects ranking on Google lately too. Like the actual redirect and not the
Oh wow. Yeah, that's and usually you see that a lot of times whenever there's been an update and then it has this period of correcting or whatever. But that it's wild when it happens and you actually like, oh my God, 301s are coming back.
Yep. Done for you, sweet. I think when we were trying to remember the name of the tool, he's asking if that was it. I don't. That doesn't sound familiar to me though.
I don't remember the name of it, but maybe it was Traffic X. I'll have to ask because I'll have to ask Keith. Keith was the one that I just remember that tool, and that's what turned me on to WordPress Muse sites back in the day.
Okay. Joe says let Macromedia cracks. Yeah, that was what we called it. File transfer protocol. We are old. Yeah, lots of old people here today, apparently. That's what FTP stands for, file transfer protocol.
Okay.
Rabiel says great episode. Thank you. I still use DW.
I still use Dreamweaver too.
Okay.
I still use it too, but mine is more building like in some instances, like if we're building a parasite page out and I can't build a table or something like that, I'll go into Dreamweaver and build a table or something like that. So that way I can just copy it and paste it over there. Yeah. Cause I don't know HTML that well. Yeah. I still struggle with it.
Kids these days without dial-up connecting. Yeah. I remember those. How much do you utilize social efforts for your websites you are ranking? I assume he means like social signals, but
0.
All right.
The only thing about the social stuff that I am and what I've gathered from what I've tested is the social signals matter if you're getting traffic from the social signals. It's not necessarily the social signals. It's just if you're getting a link and you're actually getting traffic from that, the traffic will obviously help you because we've done stuff where we send email traffic or whatever, and that will give us a little bit of a boost because they're tracking all of that.
Yeah. Dave Keys says, do you think DA matters that much on a PBN site? Like, what do you, let me ask this a different way. What do you look for in a PBN?
So what I look for in a PBN is I want links that I just can't go out and build on my own, number one. And preferably if I'm going to use that PBN as a money site PBN. So a lot of times what we'll do, we'll buy a site and we'll retheme it and rebrand it to whatever niche that we're wanting to be in. One of the keys is, in addition to it having a little bit of traffic and having links that I just can't go out and build on my own, the other element is that it's just remotely in the space that we're wanting to build in. So like, for example, if I was launching like a fitness review or a fitness supplement site, I wouldn't necessarily want to go out and buy or rebrand a domain that was like in an automotive niche. I would rather have something that was in the health, fitness, or like that has links from places like WebMD or something along those lines that would kind of match up to what it is that I'm doing.
Okay. So you think that relevance is more important, or at least equally important?
I don't know if it's equally, but I think that it does matter based on what I've tested. I've done that exact thing that I did. I've launched a fitness site using an old automotive site. And then I've launched one that was in a health related, that kind of thing. And I've done this multiple times. To every single time the health one gets a little bit of a pop because of where the links, in my opinion, is where the links are coming from and what Google is used to seeing from that.
Okay. So you would say that for an individual PBN link too. If you just went and bought a link from someone, you would want it to be from a relevant site and not just
that doesn't matter as much. It's mainly for the retheme is what I'm looking for.
I gotcha.
Because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll retheme something and then we'll see if we can get some traction with that. And if it doesn't get the traction we want, we just use it as a PBN moving forward.
Okay.
So hopefully that answers the question.
I think it does. Best SEO online says, IFTTT with your RSS feed works and makes sense. Yes, it does. I've been doing that for long before I even knew it had an SEO benefit. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you. Nice to see you too. Willie says, what is a parasite page? Parasite page is a page that you build on a high authority site to take advantage of their high authority in order to rank. You can do that for it's probably the most effective form of SEO right now. And you can do that for some extremely competitive words or terms. So you can do, like, Forbes is a big one. They're getting it. There's a lot of sites you can do it on. You can do it on LinkedIn as well. Reddit is one. One thing that Derek and I talked about at the convention was if you have a help desk software on your site, like Freshdesk or Zendesk or something, that will work. Like, if you can make an article on that, you can make those work. But is that a pretty good description of Parasite?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, there's a bunch of local ones you can use, like Medium. You can use LinkedIn. The LinkedIn Pulse pages are doing really well. Reddit's doing well. Also, Google properties like Google Sites and Google Groups. Now, many people are talking about Google Groups right now.
Interesting. I think you might have froze.
Did I freeze?
Yeah. Okay, you're back.
Okay. Yeah, Google Groups has been a good one too.
Yeah, there's some other clever stuff you can do with them, but now some of those pages are going to cost you a lot of money. But if you're in a gambling or a pharmacy or something like that niche, it'll pay itself off in a few hours. So that's basically what Parasite SEO is. It's kind of dominating right now. It's being abused. I think they're going to clap that eventually, but I could be wrong. It is traffic, and think of likes and shares like a thumbs up for your site. I'm not sure what that means. Thoughts on cloud sites. So I guess he means like those ones where you put it on like Dropbox or Azure or something like that.
I've not used those in a while. I don't really have an opinion on them, to be honest with you. I probably need to test that, but I have put some stuff on Amazon, and I've got some stuff ranking with Amazon S3 still, but that's about it.
Yeah, I haven't messed with that either. It doesn't strike me as a permanent thing, so I don't mess with it. Isan said, this is a long one. It says, I think ranking is not on one thing. We SEO just focus on one thing, like semantics, some graphic, etc. But it's the combination of all things: infographics, semantics, social signals, well structured. If everything we meet there are better than competitors, otherwise, no means generate content. Yeah, I actually agree with that pretty heavily. Is that a lot of times people will try to isolate a single thing and do that one thing. And then if it doesn't get a result, they determine that one thing doesn't work. But what they forget to look at is the fact that it's not one thing individually. It's like a tapestry of several things. So maybe it doesn't work because you didn't do this other thing you need to do first. But if you do this other thing first, then maybe it will work. I think that's something a lot of people get wrong with SEO testing. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's just always like, looking at what's working now is the main thing. Once you have an update, you look and say, okay, what's here that wasn't here before, and then just modifying what you're doing and moving forward from there. Because that's going to be the thing that's constant with this, is just there's going to be changes that go on. Yeah.
I think people like to focus on a single, I actually get to see a lot of this because people will buy a service that does a certain technique from our platform and then not get a result from it, and then blame either the service itself or the whole platform. But in reality, it's because they didn't do this. They weren't at the right part of their campaign to use that thing yet. So I think that it's a combination of things that works and not individual things. And you can't just, I'll do one of these and one of these and one of these and hope that you get results.
I think it goes back to people that learn just like a cookie cutter approach. Like for a while back in the day, like videos, I remember videos would rank for any term. You just put up a video, it would rank for any local term out there.
Yeah, I got started. A lot of the ways I kind of got known in SEO was doing that.
But you just blast videos. It's like, oh, it shows up number 1, number 2, number 3. But then what you started seeing happening was Google started shifting even the tabs at the top, where it was now shopping tabs. Then you had maps, and then you had news, and it all changes based on what they think the search is going to is going to use. But if you're using that cookie cutter YouTube ranking approach and you're in a local space, the likelihood of you ranking now is very slim. You're going to have to go with Google My Business profiles or, a traditional website.
Yeah. Apparently, like yesterday or today, they launched a web results tab. So there's like no SEO. So there's no AI or anything in it. So they're
really,
I saw that today. So
interesting.
That's not necessarily great for people in SEO, but you just have to adapt. But anyway, I think that's part of their business plan is to try to keep people on Google rather than going to websites. But
right.
LinkedIn Pulse is going down right now. Got one of my accounts suspended for bulk publishing. Now play it safe, but still working on LinkedIn parasite thing. Yeah, you do have to play it safe. Are either of you guys using Web3 domains yet? I am not.
I am not.
Maybe I'm being a bit of a boomer, but I find Web3 crypto NFT to be very confusing. So Superstar services are great, except I'm still waiting for pizza. Pizza is a little running joke of ours here. Martino says, is a backlink from a comment on a blog page with no traffic or trust flow or citation flow still worthwhile if niche relevant and blog domain is high, trust flow, citation flow, or is it worthless? My opinion is it takes so little time to make it, you may as well try it, but it's probably not that helpful.
I think for me, like we're building those out in such bulk. Like you can build those out in bulk.
Yeah. So you think there is some value to that then?
I think there is, but I think it's like I'm doing more of that stuff on the lower tiers,
Mm-hmm.
Just mainly for indexing. And I just don't think you put a whole lot of, like you said, I don't think you put a whole lot of time into it. I think there's more important things you could be doing,
Yeah, exactly. All right, that is the end of the questions. I'm going to put your program on the screen again. You can check that out at superstarseo.com/Derek. That's and again, it's pretty inexpensive anyway, right? $49.
Yes, it's relative, very, very inexpensive. So,
and you say it's a spreadsheet that it lets you build out a bunch of AI pages and then some training there as well.
Yeah, you've got, it'll build out anywhere between 1,000. We got these different sheets. Like if you need a short form article, like 1,000 words, you got that. And then you got a long form sheet and you just paste in your keywords and walk away and it'll build them out anywhere between 1,000, 3,000 words. So when we started building this thing out, the first night, and this has been a year ago when we did this, the first version of this, I went to a Brit Floyd show and I loaded up 184 keywords that night. I come back and they're all there. I was like, holy cow, this is great. But the formatting is all in there. So like what you can do is you can just save these and then you can import them into WordPress and have these scheduled out. So that way you're not having to like go in and paste these one by one. If you want to paste them one by one, you can, but the formatting's all there with the HTML. So all you got to do is just go in, and I show how to do all that in the members area where you can schedule it out instead of having it where they all blast at one time and then you just don't do anything else. You can schedule it so that way the content gets dripped out. That's another thing that I found to be pretty helpful is dripping out the content in a normal schedule instead of like blasting hundreds at one time, You
exhaust crawl budget and you also throw up a red flag.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Is this an automatic clients funnel?
I kind of modeled that after that, like using Thrive. I basically just took that model and kind of run with it.
I noticed this is what made me ask that.
Oh yeah. I've seen those everywhere. So I swiped that idea for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, we have one more question. It says, you mentioned about EMD working for local. What's EMD? Exact match domain. So if you're trying to rank for Myrtle Beach Accountant, it would be myrtlebeachaccountant.com. That's what EMD stands for. All right. And I have one more question for you. Is LeBron James the greatest of all time?
No. I hate LeBron.
I know. I asked that because like the day that we scheduled the stream, you made a post about that, and it like I could see you were like ranting about how overrated he was. So I was like, I'm gonna ask him about that.
I'm a big MJ fan. I grew up with the Bulls and I love watching the Bulls and that whole run. I think for me with him, like what bothers me with him, and you may not want to hear all this, but what bothers me with him is like he's getting like these management decisions made. He's getting his buddies signed with top dollar, and then he's complaining about the talent at the same time instead of accepting responsibility to say, hey, this roster that we built was partially my input. You can't convince me that he's not having input in all of these management decisions.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not a fan by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I just saw that post. I was like, that'll be a fun question to wrap up with. Before we do wrap up, is there anything else you would like to talk about?
Man, dude, this has been fun. Like you're a great interviewer, and you got a good energy here, and I loved it. I really did. Like sometimes these are a little, you can be a little nervous and feel a little off or whatever in terms of like the robotics of it or whatever. But like this has been good. I really have enjoyed it, and I'm being 100% serious with that.
I appreciate that. I've worked on that particular skill quite a bit over the last few months, so I'm glad to hear. I've gotten that feedback a few times now, so I appreciate that. And what's his URL? Well, yes, definitely do that because I want to give you as much chance as possible to give us both money. So the URL is superstarseo.com/Derek.
And feel free to leave a tip anywhere you want.
Beyond this, if people wanted to like get in touch with you or learn more from you, like would it be Facebook or where would they go?
Yeah, just hit me up on Facebook, or if I'm checking that pretty much daily. So
perfect. And David says this was a refreshing interview for sure. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and stop there because people stop paying attention after an hour anyway. So coming programming note next week on the 21st, which is Tuesday at 4 p.m., we have Brian Cato, another person that I've met at the same event that I met Derek at. And then another person from that same event, we have Brian Winham on the 23rd at 3 p.m. So good week lined up next week as well. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss those, and you better, you want to click the subscribe button and notification bell because that's how you'll get notified because it's not cleverly named at all. So that's it for everybody that watched. I appreciate you being here. I know you had the option to be anywhere else in the world and you chose to spend the time with us. I will never take that for granted. I always appreciate that. So thank you. And last but not least, figure out what you want out of life and go out and get it because you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the world. I'll see you next week. Peace.